Hi everybody. As said earlier, we can find out the equation of a line looking at the slope and the y-intercept. So in our slope-intercept form equation, y equals mx plus c, where m is the gradient and c is the slope. M is the gradient and c is the y-intercept. And if we know these two things, it will define every point on the line xy. So there's three components to our line, and if we know three of the four things, so there's three of x, y, gradient, m, c, we can find the fourth. So although we think of these as three different things, there are actually four components in that we've got x, y, m, and c. We tend to pair these two together. So let's look at our first little problem here. Find the equation of a line passing through 4, -3 with gradient m equals -2. Substitute -3 in for y, substitute 4 in for x, substitute -2 in for m. We have one variable remaining, one equation, one unknown can be solved. -3 equals -8 plus c, given that we know that c must be 5 to make the left-hand side equal to the right-hand side, giving us an equation of y equals -2x plus 5. The -2 was given to us by the problem, the 5 was given to us by solving the equation. Example 8 solved. Now, if we're given 2 points, we don't initially have enough information to create an equation, but we can find the gradient between the 2 points quite easily by using change in y, change in x, or rise over run. So from A to B, it's run 3 positions, and it's risen 6 positions. So that's 6 on the top, 3 on the bottom, rise on the top, run on the bottom. Change in y on the top, change on x on the bottom. Whichever way you want to think about it, 6 divided by 3 gives us a gradient of 2. Once we have the gradient and a point, we can then find out the equation of a line. So here's an example where we do that. We're given 2 points, we want the equation of the line. We start by finding the gradient. The change in y, it's going from 8 to -1. That's a change of -9. Or have I gone the other way? All right, I think I've gone from here to here. Okay, so from -1 to 8, that's a change in +9. From 4 to -2, that's going backwards. So that'll be a change of -6. That's where this comes from, which gives us a gradient. Once we simplify it, divide the numerator and denominator by 3 of -3 over 2. Once we have the gradient, we can substitute the gradient in either of these points into the equation. In this case, I've substituted this point here. Y over here, gradient where m goes, -2 where x goes, plus c, which tells us that 8 equals 5 plus. No, that's not correct. 8 equals 3 plus c. Twos cancel out, negatives cancel out, leaves you with 3. C, 3 plus 5 equals 8. That's where c equals 5 comes from. So once we have the c value and the gradient, we can write out the equation. Y equals -3 over 2, x plus 5. Now if we know a value for x, we can find the corresponding value for y. Example 10. Given 2 equations, given y equals 2x minus 6 cuts the x-axis at A. Given that y equals 5 takes 7x cuts the axis, passes through the point -1k. Find a point that does something. Wonder what the point is. Oh, first find out what A is. Okay, find out where A crosses the x-axis. It'll cross the x-axis at y equals 0. So if we substitute y equals 0 into this equation, we can find the corresponding x value. And 2x will equal 6, x will equal 3. So that gives us a point A at 3, 0. Now we need point B here. Point B passes through -1 something, We have to find out what that something is. Substitute -1 in for x into this equation. That gives us this here. The -1 is gone where the x is. Solve for y. 5 plus 7 will give us 12. B is at -1, 12. We now have 2 points. We can find the gradient between those 2 points. So from 12 to 0, it's going backwards 12. From -1 to 4, it's going forwards 4. -12 divided by 4 gives us -3. We now have the gradient. Substitute that into the equation for one of the points. This is probably the easier point because it's got a 0 in it. So y0 equals the gradient -3 passes through 3 for x. 0 has to equal -9 plus some value. C must be 9. So we have a gradient. There it is. We have C. There it is. The equation of the line passing through these 2 points is -3x plus 9. Now you can use your calculator to do much of these if it's in a calculator section. If we're looking for the distance between 2 points, put in the equation of the line as per normal, go gsolve and press distance. Now to get this window up, you actually have to press a number. So if we're looking at it between 0, 2 and 2, 5, what's the midpoint? Press a digit, it'll bring up this window here. 0, 2, 2, 5, yeah, that's right. And press OK, and the distance will come up at the bottom here. And in this case, the distance between A and B, 0, 2 and 2, 5 is 3.6. If you're wanting to draw a line between 2 points, you can use the sketch menu. So you go analysis, sketch, line. Again, put your 2 coordinates in. It will draw the line just between the 2 things. If you're looking for the equation of a line, it's listed down the bottom here quite unobtrusively. But it's usually quite hard to work with it until you've retyped that equation up here. So there's a bit of a tip for you. You can also do all this stuff in geometry mode. If you have a look at ClassPad, the ClassPad equation on your program, the ClassPad link in your program, it'll show you how to do that. Be warned, it's fiddly and we don't normally use it, but if you want to have a look at it, go ahead. If you've got access to this page, there's a link here that'll take you directly to it. Thank you, everyone.